How we doing? Old Man Gig here. We're going to be talking about do's and don'ts in the gig economy, mainly pertaining to food delivery, such as Uber Eats, Doordash, Grubhub. Yeah, even you can cover this as well as with any of the gig apps that you may or may not do or be looking into doing. All right, so let's get started. First, we're going to go over the do's. And if you're doing any of these do's, you'll help take care of some of the things you don't want to do. So the number one thing is, what is it that you want out of either dashing, doing Uber Eats, Instacart, or Grubhub, or any of it? What is it that you want? Is it you're looking for extra money, or is it you're looking just to catch up on bills, or you're looking to make this a more of a permanent type of gig work or an additional tool in your toolbox? There's many reasons why people dash, and there's many reasons why or do the food delivery economy. So first you have to sit there and go, what is it that you want out of it? And with that, you need to set goals. All right, and come up with a schedule plan and everything else. And that is key right there. That's the main key, is to have a game plan. The time, a day you're going to be doing, what days, your scheduling, and what's an acceptable order for you. There's many variations on what's an acceptable order, and that's all dependent on you and your market. Are you going to do those no-tip orders, or you're not? If you're not, then be consistent at that. Don't take them. If you're going to say, hey, I'm not going to do anything under 525 and up to a mile, and then at 625 up to 2 miles, then you got a game plan going, and then you stick with that game plan. And with that game plan, you got to be willing to adjust your goals in your game plan. Sometimes, some days, that particular game plan might work, and you may have to adjust it for a different day on different days. Whether that be you're doing a morning, lunch, or a dinner rush. It doesn't matter. You need to be and you need to be consistent. Consistency is important. If you're consistently out every day, every time, you're going to get better familiar with how to adjust things. Because if you're doing, I'm going to do it this one way day, and this another day, and this the other, and there's no consistency, there's no way for you to come up with a very good game plan. So you need to be consistent. Everything, time of day, and all that other thing. What be an acceptable order? All those fall into that. Now, with that, being willing to set, being consistent, and is it your primary work, or are you doing it part-time? I do it part-time, but I make full-time money doing it part-time. So what do you want out of it? That's what I want out of it. I want part-time work making full-time pay. So I make $25 an hour doing it part-time, 32 hours a week. And I'm happy with that. And I do it consistently. And I do it on consistent days and consistent hours. And I know what my restaurants are. And that goes into know your area. Know your restaurant, know your area, know where things are at. And that will help you with game planning and being consistent. Know what restaurants, where are the drive-thru? It's only drive-thru, and you know what the busy time for the drive-thru is. So do you want to take that $625 order knowing you have to sit in the drive-thru for 15 minutes? Or do you want to just go ahead and wait for a restaurant that is very consistent themselves at getting orders out, and where you just go in and pick up. Those are the orders you want to try to get. So you got to get yourself familiar with those restaurants and the time of day. I got some restaurants that are great for lunch, and they suck at the dinner time. Different people, so you got to learn the restaurants, and those are the do's. Now here we're going to go over some of these don't fall in this trap of taking bad orders. And what I mean by that is, it's a slow day, so I got to get something. I got to do something with my time, so I'll take that order. Don't fall into that trap, all right? Because then you're going to become reliant on falling into that trap as a backup to your game plan or whatever, and that may not be the best or ideal situation, because then you're finding that you're doing it more often and more often. Now, if you multi-app, or you're thinking about multi-apping, things you need to realize about the don'ts with the multi-apping is your potential of getting contract violations, especially if you're doing Uber and Doordash and they're going separate directions. Will you meet the time requirements as set per the acceptance order contract? If you can't, you may get a contract violation, so you want to avoid those. And I do not recommend multi-apping until you get familiarized and adjusted to all those restaurant timings and everything else off of one app. And once you're familiar with your area and everything else, I do not recommend that. I consider that as a don't. If you're new, don't multi-app at the beginning. Give it some time. Find out your adjustments. Find out those things before you start multi-apping. Don't expect hidden tips. Do not expect hidden tips. That's a big, major, another pitfall. People go, I'm taking this order because it's probably going to have a hidden tip. And then when you get disappointed when it's not, that's not a good thing. So if you're going to take an order that you're willing to do, and it's $6.25 for 2.5 miles, and that may be a hidden tip indicator in your market, but yet you don't get that hidden tip, and you're like, dang it, or damn, or whatever. But you should just be consistent in what you're willing to do the orders for as they're presented to you. Do not rely on there being a hidden tip. Don't take that 10-mile order thinking that there's going to be a $5 or a $10 hidden tip, and then there isn't, because you're just shooting yourselves in the foot. So don't expect hidden tips. If you get a hidden tip, that's great. That's extra little money. But don't be relying on thinking that every order or certain orders are going to have a hidden tip, and then when they don't, you get frustrated because all you're doing is aggravating yourself for unjustly. So avoid that. Accept the orders at face value. If it says it's $6.25, expect $6.25. If it says $10.25, expect $10.25. If you get $1, $2, $3 or more dollars more, great, but that's not an acceptance. So you need to be willing to do that and accept that. Do not base anything off the app hotspots or so-called busy areas. They're not consistent. They try to stage you where they want to stage you sometimes. And I mean, I got a restaurant that's a hotspot, and it very rarely shows up on the hotspot or a busy spot area. And it's very consistent for me. So that's my hotspot. That's one I figured out myself. So figure out your own hotspots. They are out there. They're there. You just got to be consistent. Again, it's consistency. Consistency is the key. If you're not going to be willing to be consistent, then you're going to just cause yourself a lot of frustration in the long run. So that is what I have for some of these do's and don'ts. If you have other do's and don'ts you would like to put down in the comments to cover in another video, or that you think people need to know about, please do so. And once again, I'll have upcoming videos that you can see up here, and then you'll be able to subscribe either by clicking down below or in the button up here above. So please watch other videos. I have several other videos that are very helpful. So I hope you enjoyed this one. And for that, this is Old Man Gig. Peace.